We're excited to launch our new interview series, The Highlight Reel, where the Highlight team interviews CPG experts and leaders on the future of product development. Hope to see you soon. Hello everyone, welcome to the inaugural Highlight Reel. My name is Dana Kim, I am CEO and founder of Highlight. We are a physical product intelligence platform, meaning we help brands build better products for people and the planet by way of exceptional data and product insights. I am joined today by the illustrious Nate Rosen, who I will let introduce himself.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm Nate Rosen. I run partnerships at Levitate Foundry, a full-service marketing agency for CPG and consumer brands. I also run a weekly newsletter and community called Express Checkout, where I cover the latest and greatest across the world of commerce. So everything from CPG news to retail news to e-commerce news. And I've been doing that for about 2 years now.
Amazing. Okay. Well, given your extensive background in e-com and brands and CPG, I'm very excited to be chatting with you today around better for you products, trends, how they can balance being better for people, better for the planet, while also managing top lines, bottom lines, and what it takes to be a successful brand today.
Yeah.
So question number one for you is, given all of your experience and passion and all that you have seen over the past few years and beyond, what do you see as the sort of core evolution of the better for you product landscape? What trends are you seeing in the past, say, 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think the better for you product landscape has changed a lot over the past few years, especially in recent years, post-COVID, post people getting back out there, post sort of this Ozempic craze and keto craze. I think better for you products currently sort of wrap themselves around this whole concept of wellness, both wellness of body and wellness of mind. And we're sort of seeing that in the different types of products that are coming on the market. I think 5 years ago, a decade ago, it was a lot simpler, better for you products. It was simply the 100-calorie Nabisco, little Chips Ahoy cookies, or something just low calorie, low fat. That was pretty much it. Then we sort of got into this low, no sugar phase, and we're still in that sort of world. And now it's sort of evolving to be pre and probiotic, you know, a la Poppy and Olipop.
Yeah.
It's becoming sort of gut health, a lot of gut health products, low sugar, and there's different sugar alternatives now. And then high protein is a really big one that I've seen a lot of. And I also think, you know, the other side of it too is like we've had a lot of these sort of indulgent, healthy treats that for the past few years have not been great. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Halo Top's sort of been the creme de la creme of that sort of healthier, indulgent, better for you product. I never thought it was that good. I know a lot of people who thought it was.
Yeah.
But I think now there's a lot newer products on the market that sort of are in that same vein of Halo Top, yet actually kind of tastes pretty good. I think Drum Roll Snacks is one. They make a low sugar, high protein Entenmann's style donut, which I think is a really impressive product.
Wow.
There's all these low sugar candies on the market like Blobs, Behave, Better Sour.
Yeah.
There's a lot now, and I think, but again, it's all wrapped around this whole concept of wellness.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Halo Top example is an interesting one because I was guilty of being a Halo Top consumer. Oh my God, I can eat this whole pint, not feel guilty. And now I'm on the journey of Jenny's and all these really indulgent Van Leeuwen Kraft. I've swung in the opposite direction.
Yep.
We have Salt and Straw from LA coming to the West Village. And I'm like, how many brownies can you stuff into this pint? The more, the better.
Right.
And I consider myself a better for you consumer.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that is better for you. I mean, you know, indulgence and making yourself happy is better for you. I think, you know, the key thing right now is that it's about when you do that indulgence and being mindful of it. And I think, you know, with the rise of all these workout classes and even more of this at-home stuff with Apple Fitness and Peloton, it all is sort of playing into the way the products on our grocery store shelves and in our pantries are being developed, thought about, and marketed. And I think it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So what trends have you observed in the rise for better for you brands,
Yep.
and how are they reshaping consumer preferences? How are brands responding to the evolving consumer preferences within better
Yeah.
for you that we've just been talking about?
Yeah. I agree with everything that you just said. There has been an evolution and a shift in consumer preferences. Those needs and preferences will constantly be evolving, so it is a brand's mandate to keep an eye on what is happening with their consumer base or with adjacent consumer bases. The thing that hasn't changed is there are certain jobs to be done by certain products, and consumers are always going to want things that bring, especially in the snacking world, focusing on snacks that bring them joy, and snacks that are convenient, and snacks that taste good, and snacks that derive a certain feeling for them and meet a certain need in a certain moment. And the most interesting thing I would say across, and maybe I'm guilty of the same in my example of I've loved Halo Top and now I love Salt and Straw, consumer preferences are changing so rapidly. So as a brand, it's hard to keep your finger on the pulse of who is your super fan, who is your number one fan.
Right.
So we see like granola bar companies starting to introduce protein or prebiotics or fiber or less sugar or market to new audiences. And starting with okay, I'm gonna supercharge the protein content of this bar. I'm gonna start with bodybuilders in gyms, and I'm gonna start with the traditional high protein audience, and finding that, okay, actually, when you do a consumer segmentation with the product concept of a high protein X bar, it's a on the go millennial woman who is between her many different jobs and can't find time for a meal, and that's actually, audience number one. So I think with everything that we've just talked about in terms of evolving consumer landscape, it's even harder and even more important now to really understand the different segments of your consumer base, because the sort of intuitive, I think my product might be good for X, might absolutely be right, but also over here there's a secret segment that you should be paying more attention to.
Right. Yeah, listening to your consumer is vital, and
Yeah.
they have a lot to say.
Yeah. Let's focus more on snacking, and specifically the relationship between better for you snacking and better for the planet snacking, and how that's sort of influencing how brands are sort of straddling the line and building products that are both better for you and better for the planet.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of brands on the market now that are really developing both sides of the aisle there. I think Trashy, formerly Pulp Pantry, is a great example. Taking upcycled food waste, mostly food pulp waste, and turning it into delicious chips is really exciting. And I think actually with her rebrand, it speaks to a lot of other sort of rebrands where people, they want healthier, they want better for you, they want sustainable. Some consumers don't necessarily know that about themselves, I think. And I think, unfortunately, sustainability isn't always the biggest selling point. It's about, or better for you is the biggest selling point, it's about tasting good, it's about looking good, it's about feeling good. And I think, Trashy rebranding from Pulp Pantry to Trashy makes it a little bit more enticing.
Yeah.
There's also that brand that Patagonia Provisions bought. I'm blanking on the name. Moonshot Snacks.
Yeah.
That's it. So Moonshot Snacks, I think, was also very interesting because, they're talking about regenerative agriculture in a very interesting way, and Patagonia buying them. That's their first acquisition in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I think that's a big indicator that there is this consumer demand for the better for you and better for the planet.
Yeah.
And I think we can have both, and we're starting to have both. And that was the rise of all the plant-based meats. Less better for you, much more better for the planet. People thought it was better for you because it was branded better for the planet, and those two things often get conflated.
Yeah.
But I still think, better for you, better for the planet, they are pretty synonymous, and they're becoming more synonymous as we go on and evolve as an industry.
Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned Moonshot Snacks. Julia Collins is a friend, and we actually share an investor. They're called Acre Venture Partners, and they're an impact fund. And so they invest in both products that are better for the planet and also software and tools and technology that supports more sustainable innovation. I've had a lot of conversations with Julia, and it was such a big win for the industry of, wow, you really can invest in and prioritize climate friendly, climate first, and have a wonderful outcome as an organization. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's good that it tastes good as well. I think taste, and if we go into other sort of better for you, better for the planet products like Blue Land, for example.
Yeah.
Efficacy is really important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you work with Blue Land and
Yeah.
you've been able to sort of help them test some of that efficacy, which is I think vital for any product. It needs to taste good, it needs to work, and it needs to feel right for the consumer. Otherwise, they won't buy it and they'll just go back to some salty chip, sugary snack, whatever it is. Those should exist, as we were talking earlier, but it's really important taste and feel and effectiveness.
Yeah, oftentimes I hear CPG founders say, like, my number 1, 2, and 3 priority for my products is taste, taste, and taste. Because taste is king. We oftentimes, and it's interesting we work with Nestle and P&G and the enterprises of the world, and they're constantly orienting around what are the number 1, 2, and 3 purchase drivers for a certain category. For snacks, it's always taste, cost, convenience. Yeah. And so nowhere in there is regenerative agriculture. Nowhere in there is climate friendly, carbon neutral. But there are interesting ways of tying together sustainability claims and purchase drivers. So a big win for the food industry was organic. Now people think organic berries taste better, and people think farm raised, pasture raised, cage free. They have more education around the eggs that taste the best because of the sustainability attribute attached to them. There was a lot of work and marketing work done to build that, but now folks are looking for grass-fed meat, and it's a big win. So
marketing's amazing.
Marketing's amazing.
So we're talking a little bit about Highlight and how you've helped brands. How can some of the insights that Highlight provides help better for you brands sort of refine their offerings to better meet consumer needs and preferences? And can you share any success stories or examples?
Yeah. So I think of how Highlight can help brands in a few different ways. One of them is pre-launch and post-launch. So we can think about the sort of product development life cycle. You have an idea I was just listening to a podcast on chubby snacks. From the moment that founder thought of the idea for Better For You peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and was concept testing, to then formulating what is the best possible peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I can create with the fewest possible ingredients, to, okay, now I've created this beautiful, delicious, healthier, Better For You peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Who is the prime audience for it? To, okay, I found my ideal audience, but I need to figure out distribution. How do I sell into retailers? To, okay, these SKUs X, Y, Z are selling really well, but this one over here, not so much. Let's figure out what's going on with it. Let's renovate it or pull it off and add something new. Or it's, okay, it's a tougher market for CPG. We need to innovate. We need to do something new. We need to react to gut health or more protein or add in some probiotics or prebiotics. Let's experiment and innovate. Every single one of those questions across the product development life cycle will be better answered and answered more successfully with consumer data. And collecting consumer data is really hard. Oftentimes, using the example of emerging brands, you have an amazing loyal following and friends and family cohort around you to help you get sort of initial insight, but more and more brands are getting more sophisticated sooner and using the tools out there like Highlight to collect consumer insights and tell me, okay, as a cohort that maybe isn't my friends and family, tell me what you really think about this SKU that might not be selling well, or let's try my sandwich with an adjacent sandwich or competitive sandwich, and you tell me what's working and what's not working across each. All of that data is really invaluable across an entire life cycle, and it's never been a more difficult and challenging and competitive time to win in CPG and in consumer.
100%.
So you need a leg up every chance you can get, and the more data, the better. That's Highlight's mission, is to build better products for people on the planet. We're not the product builders; our customers, our partners are, but we're constantly trying to support them in that journey. You also had examples. A few come to mind, but in the vein of low sugar, we had a company, fantastically smart sort of snack incubator that came to us with a similar kind of tenet as the chubby snack story. We see Nutella, market leader, super dominant player, fantastic, beloved product, crushing it. And we also look at the ingredient panel and we're not happy with it. And so how can we do better? And so they were looking to go to market. They were in the innovation phase, tweaking product formulations. And they had a few different SKUs and a few different options for sugar content. And it's really fascinating when you're doing consumer testing with sugar content because everyone says, I want low sugar. You taste test, and there is a linear correlation between sugar content and how much you like a product.
Yep.
And so they were testing, like it was maybe 4, 6, 10, 12 grams of sugar. And they saw that linear correlation, and they had to make a call. Like, are we betting on low sugar and this being a better for you Nutella winning? Or if we go the lower sugar route, will consumers say, oh, this is not at all as sweet as I would like it to be, and toss it? And the data came back very clearly to show them, okay, here are the trade-offs. Like, here is the flavor score delta from a 10-gram sugar Nutella to a 6-gram sugar Nutella, so that they could make the call eyes wide open. They ended up going lower sugar, knowing that they were going to take a taste and flavor hit for sugar lovers, which is all of us.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting example because I've been working on a product that's a sweetener for coffee, and something that we came across is we were trying to do a blend of sweeteners because we wanted lower sugar because we know people want low sugar, but they don't really want no sugar because no sugar isn't always as good. So we were able to sort of blend with some other natural sweeteners and like found the right ratio. And we had much more limited product testing. It was pretty much myself and my business partner on that, and a couple of friends here and there who I knew did not really participate much in the CPG world, so I felt like their taste preferences were good. But consumer behavior and understanding that from an unbiased perspective is wildly important.
Yeah, absolutely. A question for you.
Awesome.
With your expertise in social media management, which is not an area of expertise for me, unfortunately, I'd love to know your take on how do you perceive the role of digital platforms in amplifying your message and ensuring that better for you brands, products are able to actually get their message out and educate consumers on the value that they offer?
I think the whole reason that we're talking about better for you, we're talking about wellness, we're talking about better for the planet, everything we've mentioned, the whole reason the industry is where it is today is because of digital platforms. I don't think that we would have the level of education and sometimes misinformation, miseducation about these topics if we didn't have so many people talking about it on so many different platforms in so many different ways. There's people talking about it from the fitness angle, talking about high protein and creatine and pre-workouts and whatever it is, and supplements to do whatever. And then there's all the people talking about deep bloating and gut health. There's people talking about from the skin perspective, from the planet perspective. So I think we're sort of both blessed and maybe a little bit cursed with the amount of easy access to information about this whole subset of the consumer brand space of better for you, wellness, better for the planet, which we didn't really have as much a decade ago. It was much simpler. I think the other side of it too, and you mentioned in the answer to your last question, is it's really competitive out there. And it's amazing how some of these brands, or at least some of these creators that brands can leverage, have built communities around sharing information and educating potential consumers about better for you products. I think the other side of it too that's really interesting is that like brands can sort of do it together. They can participate in digital sharing together in interesting ways, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a giveaway on Instagram on a really simple area, or just like sharing influencers and sharing sort of online activations. It's really fascinating. The sort of earlier stage you go, the more of a community that we feel in terms of our partners. And so many of our emerging brands, because we do work with brands of all sizes, so many of our emerging brands come to us for word of mouth. So that brand, the Nutella brand that I mentioned earlier, they referred us on. They were like, oh my God, these insights are amazing. They were one of our number one sort of referral sources for emerging brands ongoing who were trying to figure out and answer similar questions. And I think one interesting trend that we've seen, even from some brands that might be bigger that are typically larger and therefore more siloed, is they are asking for more qualitative feedback on consumer products that they're building.
There's a fantastically quantitative infrastructure around product development and stage gates and innovation milestones, but the push for more qualitative insights, video testimonials, show me, upload videos to the Highlight platform of you feeding your children my newest, squeezable smoothie pouch or whatever it might be. And actually those brands using those insights, not just for internal R&D purposes of like, okay, this is helping me really understand my consumer, but actually asking if we can facilitate publishing rights and media rights so that they can use that like testing level, low quality video for UGC marketing purposes so that brands, customers that come to them are not coming in cold to the brand. They actually have some like early stage consumer feedback on their products. So this like mashup of what used to be purely like internal feedback mechanisms and actually now publishing that for other consumers is very, very cool.
Yeah, word of mouth is incredibly valuable for the growth of any brand, whether it's consumer brand or a platform like Highlight. It's really important. And then from like a product development and sort of getting the word out faster, because you sort of want to grow fast, especially in consumer, it really helps. Like I think brands like Poppy and we'll throw Olipop in there too. I think they've done so well is because they've had such like sort of a cult following online. I got a question for you.
Yes.
So as consumers become more discerning about the products that they're purchasing, how do you foresee the evolution of product testing methodologies to accommodate the specific needs and values of better for you brands? What sort of strategies are you thinking about implementing in the future?
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about getting feedback sooner as an emerging brand. We're seeing companies as early as I'm a founder and I have an idea for a product come to us looking for data. And that's because earlier and earlier in the process, even emerging brands are getting more sophisticated with how structurally they're collecting their data. Of course, everyone should start with internal testing. What do I think? What do my friends and family think? What do the people around me think? But more and more, especially in a really challenging market, in a really competitive market, retailers, investors are asking for the cold hard data and quantitatively tell me why you are superior to Cliff Bar, the #1 selling granola bar in the market. And so me saying, because I did a focus group of 20 people or focus groups of 100 people or had this fantastic receptivity at a farmer's market is no longer flying. And so being able to build in accessibility, democratizing access to that information by way of technology, and using our platform to democratize that access to data has always been mission #1, but is only more important in a tough market. The other trend that we're seeing and that I mentioned earlier was this sort of the emphasis on qualitative and blending quantitative and qualitative data. As a software company where half our team is product developers and half our team is a go-to-market organization that's interacting with brands and physical product developers, we see the sort of the way digital products are built and the way physical products are built. And we're constantly trying to bridge that gap. And so what is the sort of physical product version of user replay? And oftentimes we are asking our very engaged consumer base to tell us, from start to finish, tell us about all the snacking moments in your day. How are you feeling? What did you pick up? Why did you grab that? And then you realize really interesting things like actually, this Better For You popcorn brand, your competitor is not Skinny Pop. Your competitor is a pickle. Right. your competitor is an apple. So there's just really interesting insights to be gained from this introduction of qualitative, this introduction of sort of ethnography-like methodology as someone who's sort of like sitting in the background and watching these brands have light bulbs go off. All right, Nate, as someone who is constantly collaborating with brands, who has a big role in partnerships and runs many, many partnerships. How do you see partnerships and collaboration between brands playing a role in the sort of success of a brand and them achieving their mission?
I think partnerships and collaborations are great. We've seen a lot of collaborations over the past year, like a lot of beauty stuff. But I think one that stands out sort of in this better for you product category set is Sweetgreen Olipop. I think that was a really smart strategic collaboration for them. One, it gets Olipop into even more consumers' hands, and it aligns them with something that people already see as better for you. So it just sort of doubles down on that notion that Olipop is a better for you soda. Sweet Green is salad. I don't think we need to explain why that's good for you.
Salad?
Better for you salad. There are some not better for you salads out there.
This is true.
Especially depending on how much dressing you use. But I think that collaboration is like great. And then I think all these better for you brands, they've been collaborating with fitness studios, whether being sold in there or doing like mini activations. Different activations like Coachella, like Poppy did that house with, I think, Alex Earl in Coachella, which looked very fun and very bright and colorful, but it's also like, hey, we're in the zeitgeist. Like that's a great way to sort of get that brand out there. Poppy, another better for you soda, a great example. And then, I think on a smaller scale, like Seed Probiotics, for example, they sponsor a bunch of YouTubers, podcasters, same with Athletic Greens. Like, there's more traditional ways, and then there's these creative ways where it's getting into hotels and these alternative forms of distribution, food service play, sort of meet people where they already are and sort of incorporate them into their already existing habits. And then they sort of like, oh, this is really good. I should buy a case of this, or I should buy a couple on my next grocery run, and they build that habit and sort of incorporate it even more into their daily lives.
When we first met, you had a Poppy orange cream cheese with Apollo bagel, or Pop-Up bagels. Pop-Up bagels, oh gosh. Again, a major New York faux pas.
That is a major New York faux pas. They're soon to be all over. But that's a great example. Like just a very Pop-Up bagel is in the zeitgeist. People are talking about it. People are excited to go to it. Tourists and locals alike. Poppy comes in, attaches their name to it. There's mutual benefits there. I think it's a great example. That's very funny. I did have that one.
I was reminded.
Oh my God.
But yes.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so Dana, Highlight services extend beyond traditional product testing, as we've sort of discussed. How can data-driven insights from platforms like Highlight empower these better for you brands to not only succeed commercially, but also contribute positively to sustainability and environmental action efforts?
Yeah, particularly for Better for the Planet products, I think Highlight thinks of supporting those brands in two ways, or supporting those products in two ways. One, if you are a sustainable product and you have claims that you need to market to consumers, we are able to help you better land your messaging.
Right.
We talked about upcycled, we talked about this and that. When you say this is an upcycled quinoa bar, people think it's picked up from the floor and put together in a package and handed to you. And it's hard to command any sort of demand, much less demand for a higher price product. So there's a lot of education and a lot of finesse in which you need to really market and message and position sustainable products and sustainability claims. So Highlight can really help you land that. So for sustainable products, nailing your messaging, nailing your marketing, helping understand what are the purchase drivers for your category, where does this fall in line in terms of those priorities. Let's be really realistic about whether they care about this being carbon neutral or whether it's more fine print, and figure out ways to make sure that consumers are really purchasing your product and understanding the value while also educated on the sustainability benefits. The other way in which we can help is some brands are further, I would say, not behind, but earlier in their sustainability journey. And when they're considering, do I invest in this supply chain renovation or in this claim, or do I become a B Corp, or do I use this more sustainable ingredient? We can help you not just qualify, but quantify the trade-offs of making those sustainability decisions. It is an investment to be planet forward. It is an investment to be human forward, better for you in any way. And we help you sort of quantify what is the lift in sentiment, the lift in net promoter score, ultimately, hopefully the lift in purchase that you can expect by investing in regenerative agriculture or whatever it might be. So wherever you are on your sustainability journey, Highlight is here to help. And those are the sort of partnerships that we are really, really passionate about. So
amazing.
Yeah. Okay, last question for you. What are some effective strategies for better for you brands to differentiate themselves? Super crowded market, there's a need for effective communication of the value prop, whether it's health, sustainability, whatever it might be, social responsibility. a very broad question, but maybe in short, how can brands make better for you or sustainability stand out or cool or work?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of different ways. I think one way is the partnerships and collaborations piece that we were talking about earlier. You sort of attach yourself to whether it's a bigger enterprise brand and get that association, get that audience, whether it's an influencer, talent, celebrity, musician, whoever it is, to sort of echo what you're trying to say and sort of get it out there into a bigger way. I think that is one really sort of strategic and potentially easy lift way to do it. And then I think distribution is actually a really vital way to sort of get it out there. Obviously, without distribution, no one's going to try your product, but I think there's really unique forms of distribution that can help get these brands into the mouths, the hands, the pantries of consumers. I think there's a lot of better for you brands going into airlines now. Stellar Snacks, which is a pretzel company, just launched in Southwest. I believe they also sell on United. Don't quote me on that. I guess you're quoting me on that. But I know they're launching on Southwest. JetBlue has obviously always had those blue potato chips, which are we're sort of an early better for you brand. Still delicious. I think also getting into hotels and spas, fitness centers is a really good way too, because obviously that's very associated and people are a little bit more of that captive audience. And the other thing I think a lot of better for you brands can do is honestly be local. Growing and scaling is a very costly endeavor. I think that's a creative angle to take, because growing in CPG is really expensive. So like even if you're getting a PO from a major retailer, getting into 100, 500, 1,000, 3,000 doors, it's really expensive. It takes a lot of time, effort, and most importantly, the money aspect to get into those doors. I've seen it in previous roles and from knowing a lot of these founders, and I think growing locally could be a really huge unlock. I remember hearing somebody from Kroger speak at a conference I was at, and she said, "Grow where you're planted," and that line has stuck with me forever, because it's so much easier to grow where you physically are. Going in person to these retailers, going to the gyms, going to sample in apartment lobbies, whatever it is, like going to the farmer's market, it's so much easier to sort of do that. And it's going to be a little bit slower, but you're going to build a really strong audience, and eventually you just grow from there. You go to the next state, you go to the region, you go to the coast, and then whole country from there. So I think those are really creative ways to sort of grow this, better for you brand, especially in this environment. The other way is, obviously marketing and branding. I think something that Olipop, Poppy, Halo Top has all done very well is their original branding was very complicated. A lot of consumers don't really know pre and probiotic. I don't think I know the difference necessarily. I always mix them up. Halo Top had a ton of claims, and they all simplified. They just went to better for you soda, or you can eat the pint. And I think those, marketing yourself towards a wider audience is really key. And the people who really, really want that prebiotic factor, that functional ingredient, they'll find it. They'll find the low sugar, they'll find the ashwagandha, they'll find whatever it is, they'll find it. But to really grow and scale, you need sort of that mass market play, and to be a mass market brand, you need to feel accessible to a wider audience.
Awesome. Love that. I'm going to remember that one, grow where you're planted.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, not a meaty one,
Okay.
But where can our audience find you if they want to stay in touch?
You can find me on a lot of platforms. You can subscribe to my newsletter, expresscheckout.co. You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter @RosenZone. It's a good one. I made it in middle school. TikTok @Nate.Rosen. Instagram, Express Checkout. Very simple. I think that's it.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. It was great having you.
Thank you.